Hi, I'm Aaron Catley, and thanks for taking the time to go through this study with me. We'll be doing a comparative analysis over U.S. craft beers. This includes 2,410 beers across 558 breweries. Let's get started. First thing we did was look at the number of breweries by state. In the left column, you'll see we have the highest number of breweries by state, which includes Colorado, California, Michigan, and Oregon. In the right column, we have the lowest number of breweries by state. This includes West Virginia, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Washington, D.C. Now, I understand that Washington, D.C. is not a state, but it is within the U.S., so we are including it in this study. For better visualization, I've added a graph. On the lower left side, we have the lowest number of breweries by state. As it curves up to the right, we have the highest number of breweries by state. And again, I've pointed up the highest number, and down in the bottom left, you can see the lowest number of breweries by state. Here we've taken the beer dataset and the brewery dataset and merged them. Now we've merged them by brewery ID, which is why the top six you see we have Northgate Brewery, and at the bottom six we have Ukiah, Butternut, and Sleeping Lady breweries. And they don't appear to be in any particular order. So that is due to the fact that we did it by the brewery ID rather than alphabetically or by city. The next thing we did was we looked at the dataset to report on NA values. We went through every column and we found two columns specifically, the ABV and the IBU columns both had NAs. Now these are null values rather than not applicable values. So in the ABV column we had 2.6% of the data set was NA. In the IBU we actually had a much higher value of 41.7% NA. Now for this study we don't feel that the number of NAs impacted the overall statistical analysis, so we moved forward regardless. Here we've looked at the medians for the ABV by state. So we've organized the data by having the lowest median up top, scaling down all the way to the highest at the bottom. And I've marked the two highest here, which are Kentucky and Washington, D.C. They both have 6.25% ABV. In this next one, we've done the same thing. We've taken the median by state of the IBU, the International Bitterness Units. At the top, we have the lowest median. All the way to the bottom, again, we have the highest. In this case, Maine was the highest with 61 IBU. Now I've also pointed out where Kentucky and Washington, D.C. are just to kind of see where they fell in this. So you can see that Washington, D.C. again was still fairly high on this, but Kentucky is actually much lower. So we'll take a look a little bit closer at that relationship a little bit later on. Here I've gone ahead and done a statistical summary for both the ABV and IBU columns. So here on the left you can see ABV, we have a mean of 5.98%. A median of 6.7%, a minimum value of 0.01%, which we would assume would be a non-alcoholic beer, and a maximum value of 12.8%. On the right column you see we have IBU. Now it has a mean value of 42.71 units, a median value of 35, a minimum value of 4, and a maximum value of 138. Here we have a scatter plot that shows the relationship between alcohol by volume and international bitterness units. In the x-axis you can see we have ABV, and in the y-axis we have IBUs. Now you can see we have some outliers and a pretty good spread of data, but overall there does appear to be a correlation between the two variables. We have marked in red the state of Kentucky and Washington, D.C. as these had the highest alcohol by volume median previously shown, and you can see that all their data points do appear to follow along this trend with the idea that as you are increasing your alcohol by volume, you also have more bitter beer. Looking at the same scatter plot, we can show a stronger correlation by representing with a p-value, which is less than 0.0001, and a correlation coefficient of 0.67, which does show that there is a fairly significant relationship between the two variables. With that, I'll say thank you and open it up to any questions.